Look, let me ask this question. Can we live in a decent society where students cannot bring guns? I mean, past 2 decades we've had Columbine, we've had a lot of these school shootings happening that just a couple days ago Aransas Pass and GP decided to go on lockdown because a student decided to bring a gun. This was at 1 o'clock. And to give you guys a full recap of this, would basically be doing this about a half an hour, which that's why I tend to do every half hour. Every half hour, what I do is give you guys the things that have been happening. And now, this one's the icing on the cake. A couple days ago, just yesterday, there was a student who brought a gun to school. He didn't just shoot it; he just brought it. And now he was shot. And now just yesterday he was shot by the officer. And there was another one. And there was another one. There was another one. And this one, he's in custody, so let me play you. Let me bring us up to speed on what happened. Let's start first by what happened a couple days ago. Here's Bill Churchwell.
That elevated the concern for police officers. Now, we did speak to one law enforcement source who told us that the teen...
Here at the top, student pickup has been underway at the high school in Aransas Pass. Now, all afternoon, we've been monitoring an active investigation at the campus surrounding a possible threat. Bill Churchwell has been on the scene for us today in Aransas Pass, and he joins us now live for the latest update there. Bill, what can you tell us?
And Mike, I've just been told by Police Chief Eric Blanchard that the school has been deemed safe. They are allowing faculty and staff back inside, but you can still see there is a police presence here on campus at this hour. You know, students have all been accounted for. They are all safe and released to their parents. There was actually a reunification point set up across from the high school over at Landmark Church as authorities searched the school to make sure no weapons were found inside. Now, this afternoon, there was a lockout reported keeping people from coming into the campuses after an incident at the high school. Police tell us they received a report of a student here at the high school armed with a firearm. He was not using it, he did not shoot it, but was allegedly seen carrying it. Now, the student was confronted and reportedly grabbed his backpack and fled the area. Police received another tip by that time that he may have handed off that firearm to another person or student. Police put out a BOLA, or a be on the lookout, for the student's vehicle. He's about 15 to 16 years old. We are not showing his picture. We are not releasing his name because he is a minor. They said that this is a person they've dealt with before. Now, it was the way the student responded when he was confronted that elevated the concern for police officers. Now, we did speak to one law enforcement source who told us that the teen may have stolen a vehicle that was found in the Corpus Christi area near the Ben Garza gym, where a search continued there. But the police chief here in Aransas Pass could not confirm that report at this time. As far as whether someone else was involved, that is still being investigated. Here's what the police chief told us moments ago.
School staff looked into that. They started searching the child. The child grabbed his belongings in the search and then fled the campus and got away. We checked locations known to this area. He was not at those known locations, and a vehicle at the location where he resides was gone. So we put out a be on the lookout message basically to surrounding law enforcement. of the vehicle and all that information to let them start helping us search.
Now, Police Chief Eric Blanchard says this is a situation that the department has trained for, that they work with the school district on, to know where parents should go, to know where students should go. So everything worked as well as it could. But again, everything has been deemed safe at the high school. The students have all been accounted for and are safe. And that is the very latest here live in Aransas Pass. Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
And what happened next? And here's what happened yesterday. Yesterday he was shot. And this is like the failed shooting of officers. And just yesterday there was another lockdown from GP. So let's talk about the one. Before we move on to the Aransas Pass, before we move on to Great Portland, let's give you the update now on the Aransas Pass team. But we're going to do that, but we're going to take a break right now. But we're going to have more updates. We're going to have more updates for you. So let's take a break. Next, we're going to look at the regular Portland shooting, regular Portland lockdown, and then we're going to look at the Aransas Pass IC student who was shot by an officer. Now, as Bill said, that he's not been identified. He's not showing his name. He's a juvenile. Juveniles are still minors in this case. We'll be right back. How can you protect your kids when there's a gun in school? Well, tonight, I'm going to help you answer that. I'm going to help you answer that question. I'm going to answer that question for you. We're going to go behind the headlines. You know the story so far. We're going to go behind the headlines. What do you say to your children when you see this? What can children do about this? It was just yesterday, a couple days ago, when a student at Aransas Pass decided to carry a gun. Now, Bill Churchwell said he did not use it. He didn't shoot it. He was just carrying it like a little soldier. Like, you can get the picture here. But then yesterday there was a case involved. That was the same student who brought the gun. He was shot by police. So let's take a look at the very latest from Channel 3.
Officials confirming today the teen at the center of the Aransas Pass High School lockdown is in fact the same person who ended up being fatally shot by police in Corpus Christi.
Police say the teen was armed with a gun and had even fired it at officers. Our Bill Churchwell has been following the story for us and joins us now with the latest. Bill?
On social media, the Aransas Pass police chief naming the suspect they were searching for yesterday as a Cody Marshall. CCPD saying while the suspect they encountered has not been officially identified, their investigation strongly suggests it's the same teen involved. Here is a timeline of what we now know. It was right around 1 p.m. Tuesday when Aransas Pass ISD campuses went on lockdown as authorities searched for the student who was reportedly seen at the high school with a handgun. The teen was being searched by school officials when he fled the campus. Aransas Pass police issued a Be on the Lookout, or BOLO, to ask surrounding law enforcement agencies to help search for Marshall and the vehicle he reportedly left in. Meanwhile, in Corpus Christi, it was just before 3 p.m. when CCPD officers responded to a head-on crash at Crosstown near Trojan. That vehicle said to be driving the wrong way on the freeway before the collision. Marshall, the person who caused the crash, now known to be the same suspect from Aransas Pass, then ran from the scene of that crash. Officers, while searching the area, located him near Moody High School. The school placed on lockdown because of the situation. Police say the teen was armed with a gun and at one point fired toward officers before a foot pursuit with him. Officers eventually caught up to the teen on the 1700 block of Hickory, where police say he again pulled the gun on officers, forcing them to use deadly force. In a statement from CCPD, they wrote, "Anytime an officer must use deadly force, it is tragic. It is even more unsettling that a troubled young man with a gun placed an officer in a position that forced him to discharge his firearm." It continued to read, "Through our investigation, we believe officers did everything they could to bring this incident to a peaceful resolution." Tonight, the officers involved in yesterday's shooting have not been identified yet. They have been placed on paid administrative leave, which is standard department policy. I also spoke with the Aransas Pass ISD superintendent tonight, who tells me counselors were on hand today over at the high school to provide any additional support for students and staff. Back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you.
So that was the update from Aransas Pass.
Of a new
Now, let's go on to, but before we do that, the same crash was the same one from the guy that was shooting me. Cody, he got the gun. He brought the gun with him. Where were the parents? If I was that kid's parent, if I was that kid's dad, I would ground him. I would whoop his ass. I would ground him, take his things away. If I was that boy's father. Now, so he brought a gun to school. He placed it on lockdown. Then he went to Moody. Did the same thing. And that caused Moody High School to be on total lockdown. Now, GP, another school threat's happening. This time from GP.
According to Portland Police Chief Mark Corey, today's...
What's the big situation? Here's the very latest.
Begin tonight with details of the second school district to have to go to lockout in as many days.
According to Portland Police Chief Mark Corey, Gregory Portland High School and all other GPISD campuses and facilities went into a lockout this morning following reports of a student on campus with a firearm.
Now, Chief Corey says that Portland PD, along with multiple other agencies, responded to the scene to start evacuating students from the high school. Our Alexis Green joins us here in the studio now with a closer look at how today's events unfolded. Alexis?
Thanks, Mike and Leslie. With the campus blocked off and the community urged to keep their distance, parents who I spoke with were waiting in nearby parking lots for updates. Some telling me how unsettling it is to have two similar events take place like this in our schools.
Yesterday and today, I don't know what's wrong with these kids. Like, I don't get it.
According to Portland Police Chief Mark Corey, today's incident in Portland did not end in anyone getting hurt, and a firearm was never found on the GP campus. But once the threat was called in, law enforcement in the district took all necessary precautions to keep their students and staff safe.
You know, this is something that we take very seriously, especially in regards to what happened in Aransas Pass yesterday.
Chief Corey says law enforcement's main objective is to keep not only citizens safe, but students as well. And one of the biggest concerns for all police departments is to have an active shooter situation at one of their campuses.
I can tell you, just offhand, I can think of 7 agencies that responded when we put the call out. Everybody from city to county and several federal agencies responded with us. So I would estimate that there was 65 to 75 officers that responded to this one call.
Parents who anxiously waited sent texts to their children to make sure they were doing okay. Tonight, they are thankful for the massive response of law enforcement and communication from the school.
We have a school resource officer here on campus, and we had additional officers here within less than a minute. I want to stress that there was never a firearm, even when we reviewed the video cameras and saw this individual on campus, we never saw a firearm displayed.
Leslie, Mike, the suspect in today's incident was taken into custody. The investigation is still ongoing. It is unclear tonight if he is facing any charges. Chief Corey adds that threats made to any campus are taken very seriously. Anyone caught in connection with a school threat could face felony charges.
I've been doing this for 5 years, and I am at a loss for words. So I'm going to let my break board tell you that these two students have crossed the line. Just So, what has been happening here is that these two undoubtedly crossed the line when it comes to bringing handguns to school. You see this line? They crossed it. When you bring a gun on campus and carry with you, you've already crossed the line between student safety and threats to the school. And just basically, Aransas Pass and Gregory Portland, they simply just crossed the line. These two students, those two crossed the line, but one was shot and named as Cody, the other no name. And throughout this half hour, in two parts, tonight and tomorrow, we're going to talk about how you can talk to your child about school safety, and we're going to start that when we return. You know, this past 15 minutes of this show, we've been talking about school safety. We've been talking about two school incidents that happened here in Corpus. Aransas Pass and GP here in South Texas, with two incidents of them bringing firearms. One was shot and was identified as Cody. The other was still in custody. But which brings me to the question: how do you keep your kids safe from school? So that's the question. That's our question to bring tonight, is how to keep kids safe when they go to school. So what needs to happen here from the National Crime Prevention Council.org, basically it's just like this. You need to talk to your children about their day. You need to teach your children to resolve their problems without fighting. Violence is never the answer. Keep an eye on your children's internet use. Ask about the safety emergency plans at your children's school, especially in the classroom and traveling, on the bus, and strategies. I mean, and there's also some ways you can do this. Stay on top of COVID-19 updates, like we always do, and I've always doing the show. Review school policies. Like, you need to have you need to have a handbook with you at all times. A student handbook and the code of conduct. Take action. Make sure your school's handbook answers your question. If it doesn't, contact the school's administration office for clarification. Like, you can ask some questions like, is there zero tolerance for bullying? How can you prepare your child for a school shooting? What plans are there in place if a natural disaster happens or an emergency occurs? How often are emergency drills conducted? Are visitors allowed to school grounds in the classrooms? Number 3, talk regularly with teachers and administrators. And if you're meeting with teachers and administrators, you need to come prepared with a written list of questions like, how's my child doing emotionally and socially? Have you witnessed any bullying or harassment in the classroom? Is my child present on time and on class? What can I do to help my child succeed? Is there something the classroom lacks that I can help supply? Do you conduct emergency drills in your classroom? Always encourage an open conversation with your child. At least once a week, use your time to ask questions about your child's day. Like, Do you know anyone who's got sick with COVID-19? Do you feel safe at school? What do you enjoy learning? Which class do you wish you didn't have to take? What is the one thing you're really good at? Have you witnessed any bullying at school? Do you feel respected by your teachers and classmates? Rely on technology for assistance. Create a safe space to talk to your kid about using the internet. Set some ground rules. Like last season, I talked to you guys about how to keep your kids. Like a couple seasons ago, I talked to you guys how to keep your kids safe from internet predators. You may think you're punishing your kids, but it's not punishment. Check in regularly. Don't be using. Just install software. Don't install software. Costs money. Subscriptions, whatever. Just check it regularly. Use website filters to block inappropriate websites. Add parental control apps. Use your child's phone and computer to track their online and mobile conversations for signs of depression, cyberbullying, self-harm, and online predators. Review kid-friendly wearable tech devices that can help keep track of your child's location at all times. Do not do that. I recommend you download the Life 360 app to check on your child's progress, you and your child. The child leaves school, give you a notification. Child left home, notification, etc. Number 6, confirm that your child's records are up to date. At least once a year and or at the beginning of each semester, review and update your child's paperwork. Consider all the quick information your child's school should know, like allergies, dietary restrictions, medication your child takes, emergency contacts, illness that your child may be susceptible to, dispose of any approved visitors or family who can pick up your child from school. The best way for your child to do is to speak up. If you're concerned about the cafeteria menu, planning on building school policies, speak with the administration or join your local PTA. It's just opportunities for you to stay involved in school events. You'll help your child thrive at school while building a protected environment for all your students and for your child. When we come back, the 3 ways to keep your kids safe from school. Well, we're running out of time, and we're going to make this quick by giving you guys some 3 tips from this website. Again, we're still talking about school safety, how to keep your kids safe. Talk to your kids about bullying. Establish ground rules for internet use in school and home. Also, make sure you plan out a safe route for your kids to get in and out from school. Good. What I recommend for you to do is to have them take the bus, or they can walk home from school. There's vagrants out there. And everything can happen. Well, we're out of time. Remember, this school safety is going to continue tomorrow. We'll look into COVID-19 and we'll continue asking the question, how do you keep your kids safe from school? What can you do? And what can you ask the administration? That's all tomorrow. It's all this edition of Cut Me a Break Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow morning for Cut Me a Break Friday. Friday morning. Good night. God bless. Stop bullying. Speak up. Guns are bad. Good night.